Hello, what's going on? About to get started here. Mick should be joining me. Let's share this to Mick. He should be on here soon. We're going to get this going here in 1 second. I think today's topic would be pretty fun and useful. Me too. All right. So Mick will be in here when he gets in here. But until then, we'll jump right into everything. So I'm sure everybody's heard. Maybe not everybody has heard, but you're going to hear it here first. That is, some dude drove his car into the Capitol. Well, not into the Capitol, but like a barricade outside of the Capitol. And then beginning to release shots and then offed himself. So I think that's very telling of the times we're in. We'll jump into that a little bit more.
You say politicians should be paid more and have longer terms? Why?
Yeah, that's a good question. So do you know what the revolving door is?
Yes.
Yeah, so politicians, they come out of Congress or the Senate, and they go to lobbying, which is the revolving door for those of you that don't know. And the reason they do that is because they get paid a lot more to do that. And now they're no longer fighting for the nation's best interest. They're fighting for corporations' best interest. So that's one reason.
That's not an argument for them to be
Are you going to let...
That's an argument for them to go to jail.
Okay, so no, you're not listening to me. So that's one thing that I would say. Because,
sir.
So the reason why I'm saying that is because I'm not saying that this is the right thing to do either, right? It is a corrupt thing, but I'm saying that you would mitigate the corruption. That's my argument. Not eliminate it, but mitigate the corruption by disincentivizing them from entering the revolving door to have corporation interest. So if you are mitigating the revolving door, you're paying them more. Secondly, the other reason I would say you'd have to pay them more, that way, not only are they harder to corrupt because you're going to have to use more money to corrupt them, right? Because their salaries, most of them, is $174,000 a year. To all of us, that's not to all of us, but to those of us that are in the Midwest, that are in the South, that appears to be a lot of money. In reality, on the East Coast and the West Coast, $174,000 is probably equivalent to probably.
No, I gotta hold you right here, right
now. No, I'm going to be able to.
Absolutely no sense. That makes no sense. The only way to decorrupt the politician is to pay them more. You'd have to pay them millions to outbid these corporations.
Yeah. So okay. So if you would let me finish,
you keep to sell out your country for a corporate donation. You should be going to jail.
All right.
You shouldn't be getting a higher salary.
Okay. So there's always going to be lobbying. Lobbying is a form of free speech. I don't have any issue with lobbying. I'm saying that you would mitigate this problem by
sending people to jail.
That's could do that. You could do that, but then how many people? So then here's the issue. If you start sending everybody to jail for taking money from private corporations, well, then who can donate to them?
No, you don't send them to jail for taking money. You send them to jail for making policy against the American people's interests.
Yeah. So how do you determine what's against Americans' interest? Maybe it's against. Maybe because here's a question for you. The United States is pretty big, right? So how would it be against America's interest to have a company that's lobbying for their New York senator that's in the federal government to favor their state over Ohio? Like they're going to take jobs from Ohio and bring them to New York from some legislation because they're getting paid by this corporation in New York. Would that be against the American interest, or would that be for Americans' interest because it's for New York?
If they're doing it because the corporation paid them, that's against the interest. And I think that's for the people to decide. That's not for you or I to just say, oh,
well, then you're saying that the people should be the judge and they should then be the court. So the people, so you're telling me the people, the average everyday citizen, should be the ones to enforce the law?
Yes, in California, we
That's
have the
silly.
recall and referendum, and we use it all the time. We use the recall and the referendum all
That's
the
very
time.
silly. That's very silly because the people are not smart enough nor knowledgeable enough.
What? Well, are you telling us in California we ain't smart enough?
Yeah, I am. That's very stupid.
How dare you, sir? How dare you?
How dare you?
Do you know everyone in California? You just generalize.
I don't, but I know that the average IQ in America has been dropping precipitously.
Oh, so we need a nation of elites that have no common sense.
Well, that's a generalization that you just made. I think that we need people in power that have pretty high IQs, have good morals.
Okay, well, that's no one in Congress right now.
That's a broad generalization. I would say that there's probably some good people in Congress. I don't know who, but I'm sure. I would tend to favor Rand Paul, but I even think Rand Paul may be a little corrupt. I know some people personally that work in like the Department of Homeland Security. They're good people.
Presidents for life? Where are you getting this from? That's a dictatorship.
Well, it could be, or it could be a monarchy. And they're not synonymous. I'm sorry?
How dare you suggest us become a dictatorship?
You're funny. I don't know if like you're being serious or not, but this "how dare you" thing is a common joke that I have.
You keep saying the U.S. provokes China. Like,
yeah,
that's kind of true. That's kind of true because Pelosi shouldn't have gone to Taiwan. I don't like Pelosi. She shouldn't have done that. But no separation of church and state.
Yeah,
that's feudalism at its worst.
That's not feudalism. You're conflating a economic system with a governmental system.
Did you just use the word conflate?
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, you're throwing too many big words at me. And because I don't understand them, I'm going to take them as disrespect.
Okay. Anything else?
I don't. What's your reasoning for no separation of church? And what church are you talking about? There's so many religions.
Yeah, very easy. So the Orthodox Church would be the one that I would say should be working in unity with the state. And I don't believe in separation of church and state, because if there is a separation of the church and state, what eventually happens is the state becomes its own religion, or it begins to subvert other religions at their peril.
Oh, okay, but you have to respect. Okay, when you say Orthodox, are you talking about Orthodox Mormonism?
Orthodox Christianity.
Oh, Lord. Do you want no separation between that and state?
No, I don't.
You lost your hope, man. Have you read the Old Testament?
I have.
Have you read the New Testament?
I have.
And you believe what's in there?
Yeah.
So you believe this creature called God created the earth in 7 days?
Well, nobody knows how many days it took to create him, but yes, he did create it.
How old do you think the earth is according to the Bible?
I don't know. It doesn't say.
How dare you? You think Jesus actually walked on water?
Probably, or it could be metaphorical, but I would say so, yeah.
Okay, that right there, 5150, have you committed just for saying that? It can't no human being walk on water.
Well, arguably, he wasn't a human being. He was divine, so.
If he was divine, then how did he pass away then?
Well, the argument for that is the flesh died, the Spirit of God did not.
Oh, Lord. You going to come in here with this witchcraft? How dare you, sir? Okay, so if he's still alive, where is he? Can I go to his house? Is he on Google Maps?
Oh, what was that?
Can I go to his house? Is he on Google Maps since he's alive?
I never said, well, he's alive in heaven and he's alive in you. God is in everybody.
Where's heaven? Can I find that on Google Maps?
Yeah, the Bible says the kingdom of heaven's within you.
Okay, Okay, so if I get surgery and you cut me open, there's a kingdom in there.
Well, I mean, you could say yes, but ultimately it is it's metaphysical. So it's your spirit.
Can you tell this person, dissident wife, to stop calling me low IQ?
Well, you are pretty low IQ. You've even admit like I'm using simple words and you don't even know what they mean. So that's a sign of lower intelligence. No disrespect.
How dare you? Oh, I just can't believe this. And then you got this Reds Republic piling it on. But my arguments are still valid.
No, they're not. You've made no argument. You've literally said, "How dare you?" That's your argument.
No, my argument is a person, entity, whatever, cannot turn water into wine and cannot walk on water. Dissident wife, you stop laughing at me right now, or else I'm writing a.
This is great. Oh, so are you pro-conservative monarchy? I'm pro-monarchy. Yes. What's going on, man? I'm assuming you're a dude.
So, what about making it like a Christian or Judaic monarchy?
Yeah, I want it to be an Orthodox Christian monarchy. That's what I would be.
I'll agree with you on that. I'll vote for that.
Yep.
I feel like that's the only way to get things done quickly.
That is one argument for monarchies, yes.
Yeah. Even Biden said that he likes China's way of doing things because they get things done quickly.
Exactly.
So every president, including Trump, Obama, Biden, has all said that the reason China works so well is because they are a dictatorship. They're just not the right kind.
I agree. That's the misconception people have with authoritarianism is it's evil when it's not really evil. It's more efficient. It can keep the nation more cohesive. And you don't go through the change of command the same way that you do in a nation like we have.
So the only thing I disagree with is the FBI isn't bad. Can you tell me why you don't think they're bad?
Yeah, so I know people personally that are there, and they do good work. They do really good work. There's a lot of the FBI that is corrupted, yes. That is evil, yes. But that's going to happen with any power source over time. So the FBI does a lot of good work. They've broken up a lot of PEDO rings, SEX trafficking rings, drug trafficking rings. They've done a lot of good work. Are they corrupt? Yes, they are. But there's good people in there, and the FBI was not made to be corrupt, but because people are fallen, institutions with that kind of power become corrupt. So I don't think it's bad. I think it's a really good tool of the government to enforce peace and stability in the nation.
I'll agree with that.
What's going on, man? This is my co-host, everybody.
I just want to say, first of all, that everybody shits in the shower. And I hope you guys are having a fantastic day.
I don't even know what that means.
You know, when I opened up TikTok, some chick was like, everybody shits in the shower. And then, like, people of all races were like, no, the fuck we don't. I'm like, what the hell's wrong with people? Like,
yeah. All right. Anyway, so what's going on, Red Republic? Anything else you wanted to add?
Now I actually agree with you. At first I was like, this guy, but I totally agree with you 100% now.
Yeah.
So yeah, just keep doing your thing, my guy. I'll let you go. Gotta watch my kids. That's what that annoying music is in the background.
Mick and I know that music all too well, man. We have kids too. All right, man. Take care.
Later, guys.
Peace.
Got somebody else that wants to hop in here. You missed the first guy that was in here. He was hilarious. I think that he was just joking, but I'm not sure. What's going on?
I heard a second of it whenever I was sharing it on YouTube. With YouTube.
What's going on?
I listened to the other guy. It's one of the reasons I don't like their they can't conceptualize any sort of they don't conceptualize that power exists in a vacuum. And what we've done is we've removed ourselves from the power vacuum, and as a result, the left has taken over every institution and taken over the government, the institutions, the schools, and so on and so forth. And so there really isn't anything to solve the problems we see in America other than use of force. And what your thoughts?
Now, I could barely understand you, to be honest.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. When you started off by saying the reason why I don't like, but I didn't hear who it was, or
okay.
Yeah, it was very muffled.
So one of the reasons why I don't like libertarians is that they remove themselves from the power vacuum. Power exists in a vacuum because the right has sort of removed itself from government, and we want to be individualists and so on and so forth. We want to minimize our strength. Because of that, the left has taken over every institution, taken over the government, and they've taken over the culture. They've hijacked the American culture. They've implemented new foreign cultures with regards to like foreign immigration. So now we live in a multicultural America, so we don't even know what it means to be in America anymore, and that's part of one of the biggest problems. And I think the USA is definitely, to go down your list, I think the USA is definitely provoking China. I think that is true. I think China does have a right to Taiwan. I think Taiwan is corrupt and acts on behalf of America. But then I'm a bit on the tip about the FBI, because what we see now is that the FBI does do some good stuff. They do search with regards to pedophiles. They do arrest a lot of pedophiles and all these sorts of things. But the FBI has been weaponized against gun owners and right-wing politicians and so on and so forth. So I think I think what we need is, right now we have the CIA, we have the NSA, we have the FBI, the DOJ, all these sort of organizations that are targeting American citizens or even people on the right. I think we need to remove a lot of them, but then just have one that does this job properly. Just have one organization that we don't need a big government. We don't need a small government. What we need is a competent, consolidated government. A government that is consolidated, that is small, but can also have actual reaching power to solve problems that we see in day-to-day life.
Yeah, that's a good point, and I think that this is why we should eliminate this idea of separation of church and state, because integrating church and state, you would then enhance the moral compass by proximity of the people that are holding these government positions, like people in the FBI. They would be held to a higher standard. So I think the elimination of church and state allows for people to then just do whatever they think is right. And then there's this humanism guide where it's like, we're going to do the best for humanity, but you have no concept of God or even a higher power. Therefore, you're just looking at flesh and blood and material, which is only going to get you, money seeking, power hungry. So so what you said about the FBI, I totally agree with. As far as the size of governments, I think that a big government can do really well. And I think that a small government can do well. The only issue with a small government is it's going to be very hard for them to enforce laws, especially if the society begins to lose its moral compass. Whereas if you have a bigger government, you're able to keep cohesion longer, I would say, before you reach a tipping point with moral corruption in the society. The other thing I would add is the libertarian argument you have. I'm against libertarianism. I think it's very evil. I think that whole do as thou wilt brings societies down, and it has let the door open for the liberals, as you've stated. They were sort of the gate, and Republicans as a whole, even conservatives, were only, this is the argument I've been making for quite some time, made the insane ideas that we now accept palatable to the people who used to have common sense. Now the people who used to have common sense have been corrupted because the Republican Party has led them to slaughter just slowly, just very slowly.
I have one thing to say, and then I have a question for both of you.
Okay.
So he was saying that, America doesn't have an identity anymore because the mixed cultures and stuff.
Yeah.
But I started off by saying we are united by something because it's not okay to shit in the shower. Things like this is what unites this country. And then my question for you guys is, since you both think church and state is okay, what should the different states have different religions? Because there's
No.
a lot of religions in this country. Like,
No.
how would it work?
No.
The whole
No.
country
No.
just one religion.
There should be the Orthodox Church. In my opinion, it should be the Orthodox Church, the Orthodox Christian Church, being the one that's at the helm. And then the Orthodox Christian Church, I think, is properly suited for set position because they already have ethnic-based groups. So if you look at the Orthodox Church, there's Russian Orthodoxy, there's Serbian Orthodoxy, Ukrainian Orthodoxy, German. I mean, every country has their own form of Orthodoxy, but it is still true to Orthodoxy. So, for instance, New York Orthodoxy, California Orthodoxy, where it's catering to the culture without diluting the message that the Orthodox Church holds.
So you think the federal government should be like Christian then? Because
Yes.
what I'm saying is there's a lot of different religions in the country. So,
Yes, and they should be
I don't
out.
think it's going to be hard
Out.
for the whole country to bow down to one.
Over time.
What if
It's
what if
hundreds of years. It'll take hundreds of years for it to happen.
Yeah.
Well, one of the requirements for the Constitution when it was written was, and look at this in the Federalist Papers, was a moral and righteous people, American people. And what we've done is, well, because we don't want to sort of enforce our religion upon others, or because a separation in church and state doesn't actually exist, therefore we remove God from laws and from a government's perspective, and I think that's very negative to the people as a whole. I mean, we would be literally living in a secular country right now, and we're seeing the consequences on a day-to-day life. We see people burning down. We literally have people taking kids and forming daycares in child drag shows. We have people.
Let's be careful about the language we use. Let's try to navigate this area very delicately because TikTok will ban us very quick.
Wait, so are you against people doing that in the woods? Or is it just in the streets they shouldn't be doing it?
I don't think they should be doing it at all. I think it should be done in shame. They should be going to have to, in the deep corners of society in the underground world, is where they should have to do it. And if they get caught, they lose their rights to everything, I'd say.
Well, no, I'm saying like if people are doing it out of love, like if they're married, maybe not in the streets, but are they allowed to do it in the woods? Like
No, marriage is only between a man and a woman. That's the only way it can be.
Thank you. Yes.
It can never be any other way.
For the servitude of God and for procreation, that's it. If you cannot procreate, or if you don't want to procreate, then you shouldn't be married in the first place.
Fact.
And I don't think the state should not recognize any illegitimate marriage under the
Yes.
true definition of marriage.
Yes, exactly. So any of that behavior,
should be illegal for.
I think that it's going to take probably a couple hundred years, but any of that kind of behavior, I think that the Muslims have it right, how they handle those kind of people.
Yeah.
If I'm being
then
totally
why not?
honest.
So should it be a Muslim-controlled country?
No,
Is that
because
what
the
you're saying?
Christians have the same belief. Read the Old Testament.
Yes.
Okay.
Read the Old Testament and you'll see that the Muslims and Christians are very closely aligned on this particular issue regarding pride. The only thing that I would say right now is that you can't have it right now because our society is so fallen. I don't think anybody here has the moral standard to enforce those kind of laws. So, and you have to consider all the children that have been brainwashed. So you have to have mercy on a few generations that have just been pumped with propaganda. So you have to, the conversion therapies, you have to try to show them the right way. And then let's say after 10 generations, right? Or not even 10 generations, let's say 5 generations, right? Because 5 generations, that'd be like 120 years or something. You would then have enough time in between where you can then say, if you're still acting that way, off with the head, you know?
Delete the gene pool, that's for sure.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
They're perverted.
yeah,
It's
120
corrupting.
years,
They're of a
everybody
reprobate
needs to
mind.
conform to Christianity.
What was that?
Huh?
What did you say?
120 years, everybody needs to conform to Christianity.
No, it's not conversion by force.
What else would they? What else would they? What else is there? I mean, like really, I mean, you have sexual hedonism, you have degeneracy, you have the lack of culture, you have essentially the embracement of materialism. And what else is there other than Christianity? Everything else is sort of the indulgence of individual pleasure, which, as we know, does not lead to actual fulfillment and happiness within life. So either you live successfully and prosperously under Christianity, and you live a moral and righteous life, or you live in a degenerate life that doesn't bring you any happiness whatsoever. So really, what else is there?
Well, there's other religions that
But I would say this is
from. I mean, it's
this is my argument to other religions. I'm of the mindset that
not only Christians are good people. Is that what you're
no.
Yes, but America is historically a Christian nation. We were 91% Christian in the 1950s and 1960s. And we are still 65% Christian in 2020. The only reason that the Christian population is decreasing is because, one, lack of faith regards to atheism, and two, immigration via mass immigration from either the Middle East or different countries that aren't Christian. So that's really the only reason why America has been dominated by Christianity and a Christian population since its foundation.
So we've been invaded.
We have been, yes.
Yeah, we have been invaded, yes.
And I would also say this too, that's ruined America.
I'm just throwing out the different perspectives. That's all. I tend to agree with a lot of you.
So the other issue with America is that Catholicism or Orthodoxy never took hold here. It's always been Protestant Christianity, and Protestant Christianity, in my estimation, has destroyed Christianity. I mean, Martin Luther basically created 30,000 different denominations of Christianity. That is the perfect way for the devil to manipulate the true religion.
Right.
So, hey man, we got somebody else that wants to come in here. It's been a real pleasure speaking with you. If you want to circle back in after we finish with them, you can. That's cool. We just allow one person at a time, though. It keeps everything easier. So,
thank you.
Thanks, man. He's based. He gets it.
Definitely has made a huge difference switching over to the one-person policy.
Yes, it makes it a lot easier. What's going on?
On other streams, people be.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good.
So I saw this tweet yesterday, and it was a dad. He said he's explaining to us what democracy is, and he said, "Okay, everyone vote on where you want pizza from for tonight's dinner." And so he had all of his kids vote, and then he said, "Well, you know what? I'm paying, so I get to decide where we get pizza." I'm like,
true.
That's literally what a democracy is.
Yeah, it's very true.
That's a good life lesson.
Yeah, so I couldn't agree more.
A little bit more lenient with them next time.
So
I think that we have such a Americanized view of politics to the point of where most people think the only way you can truly be free is through like our constitutional republic or a form of democracy. And I think people don't understand that it's just an illusion. There's just as much authority, and the only way to truly get away from like authority would be like anarchy, and that's not possible. Like,
right.
I don't think anyone thinks that that's like conducive to a cohesive society, to a successful society, I guess.
You think there's a monopoly on violence now that the government has? If there was anarchy, that'd be like absolute monopoly. Like it'd just be like, it'd be totally whoever is the most violent would be the people who, are in charge. So
right. Yeah. So I think the idea that like democracy is the only way to have freedom, it's absolutely ridiculous. We have
100%.
just as much authority in a democracy as we do in like fascism and like a fascist country. It's just they're more hush hush about it. It's not up front,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, democracy, in my opinion, is just
it seems to
evil.
be working for America, just like China, just like communism is working for China. I guess it's not really working for America because we have a lot of division and whatnot. But I mean, it depends on what you think the people who are running the country's actual goals are.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with like a government is it's all about who is in power and who they want to serve at the end of the day. And so it's like, it's kind of just like whoever wins, you know, which side wins gets to then decide. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, the reason why China is able to do so well, I mean, now you can argue that they're in economic crises or heading towards it. I get that. But they have more control over their economy, the government does, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But also, Xi Jinping's there for the rest of our lives pretty much in his life. So they have one leader.
Oh, yeah, he's going to be robotics. And he's going to be like the Terminator, bro.
Like AI.
Dude, I have a theory. I have a long-running theory for a while now. I think China is going to, once they perfect the brain chip shit, they're obviously not going to let Tesla use their brain chips or whatever. Because, dude, the Chinese military won't even let their high-ranking officers use Tesla vehicles because they think it's a national security issue. But my theory is that China is going to perfect some kind of brain chip and make all of their population into superhumans. And it's going to be like mandatory. And they're going to try and take over the world.
Yeah, I don't know. That's so basically there's going to be a lot of other things that go into play, right? So
or that's what's going
to start
World War III.
The World War III is already started. World War III is already started. And as far as making their humans superhumans, well, are they really becoming superhumans? I've had a lot of conversations with transhumanists, and you then have to wonder, are they going to suffer some sort of atrophy, right? Muscle atrophy for their brain because they're not using their brain. They're relying on the computer. So then, so there's that. And then also, is it going to just be computer chips, or are they going to be able to genetically modify, right? So and then also, will this genetic modification, and then the other issue is, will that genetic modification have a negative effect on the offspring? So will their children suffer from deformities because of the parents' genetic manipulation, which would then increase their IQ, would then increase their abilities to do numerous things, but then it'll have a negative, like it won't transfer over to the child. This is a huge question. Will it transfer over to the child or will it not? And if it does transfer over to the child, will it transfer over in a way that's helping them or preventing them from doing certain things? So I get what you're trying to get at here, but there's so many questions that are like, will it actually cause superhumans? And if it does cause superhumans, will it only be one generation of superhumans? And then their offspring is inefficient.
Well, hell, at that point, they'll probably just be making the children, growing them in labs.
Well, then you also have to think, exactly. So if they're doing that, how well will the lab-made babies be compared to natural babies?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, way in the future. It's just some theory I've had for a time. But dude, that's a crazy thought that you had the brain atrophy, like people not using their brains. Dude, what if that's something the human race is experiencing right now? Because we just type shit into our phone to get answers. Like, we're not out discovering shit as much, activating our senses. There's a difference between looking up an answer and like actually learning something and discovering something for the first time, like with all your senses.
Right.
Like reading from paper is completely different even from like reading off of your phone. And people rarely read like actual books.
Right. Yeah, that's true. So I do believe we're suffering it in some degree, but we're also using it in other ways as well. But yes, the IQ is dropping tremendously in the United States for a variety of reasons, mostly because of diet, and the living conditions, I would say, so I think I think people back in the day with horse and buggies probably had higher IQs than a lot of people today, if I had to guess that.
Oh, 100%. 100%. People were way smarter back then than we give them credit for. Like, I am so amused by the World Fair.
Oh, yeah.
It's like insane. It's insane. And like, we don't ever talk about this. We just kind of act like they were all dumb and like uncivilized. And like, I'm like, no, they were.
Do you know about
and then I've seen like videos of kids like talking in like World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Like World War II videos, and these kids like sound genius level smart, and it's like, our IQ is 100% decreasing.
Yeah,
Or
I mean,
100% less smart. Even though we have like all of this knowledge available to us, sometimes I wonder if that's kind of why, or part of the reason why, is because we just have too much
mhm.
and not like.
I agree.
I can't remember which one said this, but like we're not self-discovering it. It's just like there, and so we don't really use it as much.
Yeah, this is true. And then I want to address a comment here. It says life expectancy was trash back then. That's false as well. That's another lie you've been told. So life expectancy has for what we know, going back to ancient Rome, has been about 80, 90 years old for a human, in some cases up to 100. Some tribes have life expectancies of 120. And there's certain tribes in Africa that have lived up. There's like a whole group of people that are taken care of by their village that are almost 150 or over 150. So that notion is nonsense. What has increased is the life expectancy inside of cities. And then the reason why you do see life expectancy, quote unquote, increasing over time is because of the infant mortality rate was much higher back in the day. And so the babies that were, that were going out a lot sooner, they end up skewing the numbers to make it look like people were only living to 40, 50 years. But how many old videos do you see of people that are like 80 and 90 years old in these documentaries? You see so many, when in reality, it should be rare based on what they're telling us, that the average person only lived to 40 or 50, maybe 30, whatever. But we see so many old videos where you see so many old people. So even from our own eyes, we know that it's not true. And like the argument for life expectancy going up is modern medicine, which is total bullshit. The only thing that modern medicine is really helping people with right now, I would say, is surgeries, keeping babies alive longer. But for the most part, it's actually the cause of a drop in life expectancy because of the poison they put in their drugs. So, and a lot of other things as well.
It's just another one of their like propaganda tools to kind of make traditionalism seem evil. Like I see this happening. Like I don't think the 1950s was like an idealized time. Like I don't think it's perfect time to like model what we should be doing after. But there's so many lies that come out of the 1950s, and like the relation dynamic, like mental health, things like that. They just completely blow things out of proportion because they don't want that to be something that we consider.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's very ignorant of us to think that our ancestors.
They try to demonize traditional culture, They, because they try to say like the man was like, it was just like against women and shit, and that's really the only thing they can say. Like, what else is they gonna say? Like, I guess maybe they could try to say those people are stupid because they like, don't go to they don't like know as much, maybe because they don't travel as much. They're more like homebodies and shit. People that like live on farms and stuff.
Not cultured.
Yeah.
Not cultured, but they did have their own culture, or they did have their own culture. So what does that mean?
Right. Exactly.
I'd rather have my own traditional culture than like be experiencing a bunch of different cultures. Sorry.
Yeah. I do think it is cool to like learn about other cultures and shit, but
well, yeah.
I'm not gonna hate on somebody who doesn't. Like I said, the only thing they can really say that's bad about traditional culture is they the only argument they have is like the womanizing aspect of it. It seems like.
Yeah, but
I'm not even saying it's a good argument.
A lot of that is like also conflated. Like the domestic abuse, we have the same amount of domestic abuse right now that they did in the 1950s. I mean, it's a little bit harder to measure that, but it's still pretty hard to measure that as well. So
yeah, in the 1950s,
I'd say it's probably much higher, especially because in the cities.
Yeah.
In the cities, when they're interacting with more people, there's just like a lot of like outside influences and pressures and stuff like that Yeah, you're just not as relaxed when you live in the country and you don't interact with as much people.
Yeah, like the R word has definitely increased, and
Yeah.
that's due to like conformity to one culture. Like we have a bunch of different cultures that are coming into our country that we don't all agree on what is right and what is wrong, and so
Yep.
yeah, the R word definitely increased.
Yep. And then somebody in the comment section, you think POTUS should be until he dies? Yes, I do. And I also think that politicians should get paid more. Every time I bring this up several times in streams because I have yet to hear any good argument against it. It's usually they get paid enough. Well, then why are they so corruptible? Why are they getting millions of dollars elsewhere? Why not just pay them really, really well to mitigate the corruption?
But what if they just make like an actual robot of the president and like try to fool people and they don't know, and then he just lives forever? They're like, what the hell? He hasn't died yet. We hate this dude. It's been like 50 something years and he was already 80 when he got in there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I like monarchy, because if you look at history, it's pretty easy to get rid of a king. I mean, not easy, but they
it's
Really?
easier.
I don't know how that would look right now.
I don't think I'd like to see the statistics of which ones are easier to topple, because this is an argument that you've said a lot, but I mean, which one statistically you think?
I think
Okay, here's the thing. If you kill, I'm sorry, I got to be careful with the way I say this. If something happens to the leader of a democracy, then the whole democracy doesn't crumble. Whereas in a monarchy,
same
if the
way.
leader is toppled, then normally it all crumbles and it's rebuilt, and it's like different.
Not
I think
necessarily.
that's what people would rather have.
Well, not necessarily. There's a chain of command as well, right? So there have been kings that have passed away prematurely, and then their son takes over, or they have a brother that takes over, or something along those lines. So not necessarily. There is a chain of command. So you would have to get rid of the whole chain of
Yeah,
command.
but normally when it gets to the point where if they're able to kill the king, then pretty much they've already overtaken everything. Whereas in a democracy, when there's like an assassination, as in the past, things just keep running smoothly.
Well, there's also a parliament in monarchies as well, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, no, there's parliaments in monarchies, bro. So there's like the House of Representatives in monarchies. So there's a chain of
Yeah,
command.
but we would still continue to have a monarchy. Like the next person that would come to power would also be a monarchist. You know
And it
what
would
I'm saying?
still
Like,
have the same, and it would
Okay,
still
yeah,
fun.
yes,
Well,
but
hang
yes,
on,
in this
hang on, and it would
fantasy,
still have. Hang on.
futuristic monarchy that you're talking
Hang
about.
on. And it would still have the same basic structure as well. It's not like just because you overthrow the king, you then change the whole system. No, the whole system doesn't go away with the king. There's a chain of command. The same way if somebody were to do something to our president, there's the vice president, and then there's the House of Speaker. So there's a chain of command in these monarchies that would keep somewhat of the cohesion in it.
Yeah.
But even if a democracy, even if you experience this in a democracy or a republic, it still goes a little crazy. People are still very fearful. People are like, what the hell's going on? So the same vibe is disseminated across the country if that happens to their leader. But there are checks, there are plan Bs, plan Cs, plan Ds, because as a leader of a nation, you're the most targeted person in that nation. So there has to be.
I think where that disconnect for a second there was because like there are no like modern examples of a monarchy where the leader gets killed and it doesn't collapse. Like I'm thinking about shit like back in the day, you know, when it was like a smaller civilization or a smaller country, by the time they get to the king and overtake the castle, it's a wrap. Like normally it's going to collapse. They're not going to just be like, well, the brother can be the leader now. You know what I'm saying? Whereas in this futuristic monarchy type situation,
no,
like
it's
America
not
were to
futuristic.
change their government or some shit.
No, it's not.
Yeah, there'd be a lot more infrastructure and it would be harder to.
No, it's not. It's not a futuristic ideal. I'm talking about historically, man. Like this has happened to kingdoms historically. There's a chain of command
Okay, well,
in
back
these.
in the day,
That's what I'm talking about. In the we can only really go off of history on this.
I mean, can you provide me of an example? I mean, I mean, normally whenever a king gets killed, like whenever Napoleon was, well, that was a different thing. But like Caesar, whenever he was killed,
He wasn't a king.
Was the guy who killed him. And
You're arguing against you're arguing against your own governmental. No, you're arguing against your own governmental preference, which would be what we have, which is a republic. Caesar was killed in the republic, not a kingdom.
Can you give me an example? Because I've always thought that like whenever the king is killed, normally it's because like they've been overran by another country or some shit.
No,
like,
kings used to die in battlefield. Kings would go out in battle and die, and then their sons would take over, their brothers would take over, somebody would take over, or the king was getting sick, knowing he was going to die as the kingdom is falling, so somebody else takes over. And then there's people in parliament as well that would take over. Like what you're talking about is what you're talking about. Hang on. What you're talking about is a invasion into the kingdom and they just take over everything. That's totally different. That could happen here in any nation. If that happened in any nation, you would see the same consequence what you're describing. So it's not unique to kingdoms. You would witness the same thing. If the Chinese all came over here on our soil and took over the United States government, we would have the same issue as if it were a kingdom back in the Middle Ages, right? But if the king was out in the field fighting with his men and he passed away, somebody would be alerted, hey, you got to take this over. Or another kingdom would just acquire them. Yeah. And then they would still relatively have.
The leaders aren't out there fighting anymore, so that's totally different. It's like they don't do that shit no more. Is Biden going to be out there on the front lines in Ukraine?
I wish.
I think that we should bring that back. I think that if you're going to be the leader, I think that if you're going to be the leader of a nation, if you're going to be the leader of a nation, I think you should have to be willing to go on the front lines. Not necessarily the front lines, but go to war with your men.
Yeah.
Yeah, have some like super badass like battleship just be blowing shit up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but they don't do that anymore. Why do you think that is? You know, if they used to do that back in the day during monarchies when they were popular, why don't they do that anymore? Is that why they failed? Because their kings kept dying in nonsense wars or what?
No, I mean, they did not fail.
Like more honor-based principle to it. So
well, and also you have to consider this too. Monarchies, I don't think we're giving enough. I don't think we're giving enough respect to monarchies to begin with. They're the oldest form of government, arguably, and they've lasted thousands of years. So just because a king goes out and dies does not mean that the monarchies aren't successful. They're more successful than republics and democracies historically. Just by their longevity, they last much longer. Societies thrive much better under them. And then, as Dissident Wife said, there's an honor-based culture, which is why the king would go out there.
Yeah, because like if they're going to declare war, they would go out there and fight with their people. Like, you know, they would be like more honorable. You know, they're going to put their own life on the line. And they probably I bet there was some kings that wouldn't do that. Maybe if they were older and shit, that shit, but
not every king went to war. Not every king went to war with their soldiers, and even if they were in war, it doesn't mean that.
Yeah.
Even if
I'm not gonna leave. I gotta go do something real quick. Just for like 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
Yeah, you're all good.
I'm just gonna turn my camera off. I'll be sitting here.
And the reason for
I think that honor is definitely something that we need to instill in society more.
Yeah.
I think the lack of it is causing less cohesion.
Yeah, for sure.
Why do you think that Andrew Tate might be gay?
Yeah.
I think it's lagging a little bit.
What's that? What did you say?
I said I think it might be lagging a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. The reason I think that is because he used to he made his millions by dirty talking to men. He literally said that in one of his videos. What? That so he would have the girl for the webcam be the face, be naked, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And then he took out the keyboard from her end and he was actually dirty talking men for their money. So that's pretty gay if you ask me.
I mean, he probably knew what to say better than those girls. So
That's what he argued. So I mean, he knows how to dirty talk men very well. I don't know how to dirty talk men, and I'm very straight. So
that was a good point.
yeah, it's capitalism, right? Exactly, Liam. It's capitalism. That's his argument, you know. But yeah, so he might be. He might be. I don't know. It's very strange. And I also think that like
I don't mind.
Go ahead.
I don't mind Andrew Tate's views on like gender roles and traditionalism. I think as a person though, and like his business side is very, very material.
I agree.
And it completely contradicts his views on like traditional marriage and gender roles. I think if he were to stay consistent with what he's saying, he would like be promoting men to provide enough money to have a farm with their family and have a sustainable life, and like talking about 30 different Bugattis and like which color he's gonna drive today. That has nothing to do with like traditionalism at all. So
it doesn't.
I feel like he contradicts himself.
He definitely does. You know, I have 4 main points against Andrew Tate. I totally agree with you when you said that, you know, his opinions on traditional gender roles, that I agree with. His language against mental health, I agree with a lot. There's a lot of truth in that. Regarding motivation or discipline, how he's just saying discipline is better than motivation, I agree with that. But the 4 main things that I disagree, and I think Andrew Tate is the 4 main reasons I think Andrew Tate is actually harmful to young men is because, as you've already alluded to, he is promoting promiscuity, right? So he's like, hey, you can have multiple wives. That's cool, but you can also cheat on those wives. I think that if you're going to have multiple wives, which I have nothing against, I don't think it's optimal. But if you are a man who has 2 wives or 3 wives, you should be faithful to those 2 or 3 wives. You shouldn't go out and cheat on those 2 or 3 wives with any cutie that you see, right? That's immoral. So the promiscuity that he promotes, I think is destroying society and actually is promoting feminism, whether he realizes it or not. Because it's like, hey, girl, you go take that birth control pill. Hey, girl, you go unalive that baby. Hey, girl, you can keep going out and doing your thing. Like, I'm going to tell you that you should have a number on your forehead, right? You should have a number on your forehead, but I want to make sure that I'm one of those numbers on your forehead because I got to get mine. So, you know, so that's one thing, promiscuity. The other thing, as you've already stated very clearly, the materialism. He's promoting materialism and vanity. He thinks that money is the savior. He said that the only reason that you can go around not wearing a face diaper is if you have a lot of money, which is total nonsense. I'm not rich. I never put on a face diaper. I'm not rich. I never bow down to any of the regulations, right? So you don't need money. You need spiritual power. So he thinks that money's the savior. 3rd. 4th thing, it's actually 5, but the 4th thing is he thinks God is an idea. He doesn't even believe in God being the actual creator. He just believes that if God is an idea powerful enough to make a society moral, it's good, which means God can be whatever he wants God to be, which is a satanic view of God. And lastly, I think he's corrupting Islam and Christianity because he's using those for his moral power, for his spiritual power to say, oh, look at the Bible. Look at what the Bible says. The Bible, you know, says that the woman is submissive to the man. Fact, it does. But then he corrupts it by saying, but if you're going to follow the Bible to the T, we're going back to the Stone Ages and nobody wants that. So what is it, Andrew? Do you just pick and choose what you want that gives you moral authority? Or do you actually believe in what you're talking about? He doesn't believe in what he's talking about. He's conning men. And then 6th, I keep adding things to this now. He's now pimping men. He's pimping men. He went from pimping women to pimping men. And the reason I say that is all the videos that you see on Andrew Tate on TikTok are because men are getting paid to promote Andrew Tate. They have an affiliate link to his Hustlers University, which I have no issue with. I have no issue with Hustles University. I have no issue with the War Room. I'll never make arguments against them. Go and make your money if that's how you want to make your money. I have no issue with that, because I think that it does teach you some good things. In affiliate marketing, a lot of places have affiliate marketing. But he is now saying, young men, take things of mine, put them out. You make a little bit of money, and I make a lot of money. So it's, he has a lot of interesting things to say. He's charismatic. He's very passionate, and I appreciate those things.
He's the metaverse pimp.
Yeah, that's what Mick calls him, the metaverse pimp.
It just sucks because, unfortunately, we're in a society or a culture where, like, the crazy you are, the more attention you get. And it's like there are so many men that could be leaders for traditionalism. They just don't get enough attention because they're not insane.
Yeah, well, I think that what you have to
got
do.
a lot of attention today that drove his car into the fence.
Yeah. Well, what I think that has to be
Wait,
done.
what happened?
Yeah, so some
The
dude.
guy on the top.
Some dude drove his car into like a fence or barricade at the Capitol
The guy who drove
building.
into the Capitol this morning was acting crazy, and he got a lot of attention.
Yeah. But I think that what needs to be done is the men who really promote traditionalism learn the marketing tactics of the people like Andrew Tate, because Andrew Tate is a marketing genius. So why not just copy? I've learned this from Richard Hart, who's a cryptocurrency founder. And what he did to promote his cryptocurrency, which I think is the best cryptocurrency there is, it's called Hex. You can look into it yourself. But anyway, he used, and he even said it, he was like, I'm using
It took like 100% this month.
Yeah, so I'm using scammy tactics to get people in because it's a good product. So basically his argument is the way that you beat scams is by using their marketing tools, but attaching it to an actually good product or a good service that actually is going to benefit people, as opposed to scamming people out of their money. So if you just apply that, traditional men like myself, like Mick, if we apply the genius marketing of an Andrew Tate to be outrageous in their speech and stuff like that, which I try to do from time to time, you'll then garner more attention, but it'll be the right attention and it will help young men out. So that's what we're trying to do here. I know it doesn't, we got 10 viewers here. We keep getting in between 1 to 5 between YouTube and Twitch, but I don't know how much on Twitter. I think that's the way to do it, is to copy what the genius marketers are doing, but with a good message.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, the thing with Hex, though, I never thought of it as a scam. I just was always, critical of crypto in general. So, I don't know what marketing you're talking about where he did that, but I don't know. I don't know how. Are you into crypto at all, Dissident Wife?
No. My husband was for a little bit, but not so much anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I get it.
He just
Crypto.
didn't make a lot of money, so he was just over it.
Fair enough. Got to hold it for a lot of years to make a lot of money.
Well, make sure you guys tap the screen.
So everyone cherry picks the Bible and Quran. Well, Dissident Wife, thank you very much for coming on. If you don't have anything else you want to talk about.
Okay, bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
So we got everyone cherry picks the Bible and Quran to push their agenda, their personal agenda. Yeah, they do. The rule is if you can provide for them, right? Exactly, Liam. And he's talking about polygamy. If you can provide for 2, 3 wives, and that's the world you want to live in, go ahead, but be faithful to those 2 or 3 wives. And it's not ideal to run a society. I don't think it's a sinful behavior. It's not against God. It's not against nature. But I don't think you can have a very functional society with polygamy being the predominant marriage system, because then even more men would have no women. So, right. Yep.
What did the USA do recently to provoke China again?
There's more congressmen that are going to Taiwan to talk about their relation. And then also the U.S. is going to be performing military drills in the Taiwan Strait.
They got like great massages there.
Yeah, I
They
don't know,
must
man.
have really good massage therapists over there, and that's what it is. They're all going over there to get their backs rubbed.
Yeah, yeah. And then the U.S. military is doing drills in the Taiwan Strait. Taking bribes. Yeah, they probably are taking bribes.
Taking bribes.
So, yeah, that's what's going on over there. And then, what else? What else is going on? We
Dude,
talked about.
I've been kind of on vacation this weekend, bro. It's my birthday. Everybody smashed the screen. I just turned 33. That's like my lucky number.
Happy birthday!
It's not
happy
really like
birthday.
my lucky number, but my favorite basketball player a couple years ago, Alonzo G for the Cavs. That dude could dunk the ball angrily, but he really did suck for real. He fell off pretty quickly.
Yeah, I don't know much about any of that.
Yeah, dude, we're gonna have to go to a Browns game or something one day, bro.
Yeah,
We're
that's
supposed to
cool.
be good this year.
Yeah, man, just let me know. So, yeah, we've pretty much, we're staying on top of the news pretty well, guys. So if you're watching us, we're doing like 2 streams every day, pretty much. And Eagles, buddy, he's an Eagles fan. Zachary, who's the host of MOT Sports, he's an Eagles fan as well.
Did he change his name again? Is that Torres?
I don't think so.
Is that Torres?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Eagles. The Eagles are okay. They're not, I don't have a problem with them.
I enjoy the news y'all do. Thank you very much. And thank you for the comment you made earlier about the breaking news. That hasn't been working so well lately, so we've been trying to change it up. For whatever reason, it could be because we're shadow banned for our post. I'm not sure. But our views are not what they used to be.
Sometimes it doesn't.
So, we're just trying different things.
We
trying
really
to.
are like heavily shadow banned, and I've been thinking about it. And I don't know. What do you guys think? Are there any other social media platforms you think we should explore? Like, I'm not saying we should like give up on, any of TikTok, obviously, but maybe if we expand into a different platform, maybe it'll get new people who would just use that, platform.
Yeah, there's Gab. There's.
Do you guys in the chat room? Do you guys use anything else?
Yeah,
I'm
there's.
just curious what they use if they know. I know there's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, they're censoring people who are showing truths. They really are. And, we expected that getting on TikTok, but we've been a lot more cautious about what we're posting. Not just cautious, I guess, but more tactful in our wording because we still want to be able to talk about these issues. We just have to be very, very careful. YouTube and I don't know what TT is. Is that Twitch? Is that Twitter? We are on YouTube. We're live streaming from YouTube right now.
Probably TikTok.
We're on Twitch. We're on Twitter. We should probably do some Gab.
Probably stands for TikTok, I'm assuming.
Yeah. We can probably do some Gab. Yeah.
Some what?
Gab.
See, I never hear anybody talking about all the streams I listen to. I think they be using like Rockfin or some shit. Or
Yeah.
there's a couple other ones, but I never really hear anybody talking about Gab.
Yeah, a lot of people use Gab. It's more so conservative.
Like Odyssey.
Yeah, Gab is more so conservative and alt-right. Odyssey, we need to be on Odyssey more. Odyssey has grown quite a bit. We were on Odyssey very early, just haven't used it much because it takes so much time to transfer over everything that we have on YouTube. And you need to have 500 subscribers and a certain amount of watch time in order for them to transfer over everything automatically, which for us to do by ourselves, we have hundreds of videos on here, so it would take forever. And then BitChute, but BitChute's, I don't really care for BitChute. But yeah, so guys,
basically we need to develop a software to help people share their content. That's the good rich scheme.
Yeah, I'm good. I'll let other smart people take care of that.
Develop some kind of AI.
It's already out there, I'm
Yeah.
sure. It's already out there, I'm sure. But yeah, guys. So we're let's see. I see people use Discord, Telegram, but I don't use them. I'll check stuff out, but no sign up. Yeah, we're on Telegram too. Our Telegram was growing kind of big, but
We
then
have a Telegram. Join us.
yeah, it's MOT Media on Telegram.
What are you talking about? Has it grown?
No, that's not what I said. I said it was growing, and then you started
We need more
talking.
people on Telegram.
What?
Yeah, it was growing. And then, I don't know, it just seems like hard to grow that one. We don't really promote it much, actually, I think, too.
Yeah, we don't. And we don't really post anything special on there. I mean, we have some news articles that we'll
But the
read. And,
Telegram's the OG.
yeah, we'll post some articles in the Telegram. We'll post some of our TikToks on the Telegram, but nothing really major. Maybe we could start utilizing it a little bit more. I don't know how to really use it more as of right now, but we'll figure something out. But yeah, guys, so be sure to like, follow, subscribe everywhere. We're pretty much keeping everybody up to date on everything that's going on during the day. So that's why after we get through our main topics, it's kind of hard to even circle back around to news that's now becoming more big. Like, for example, the impeachment charges on Merrick Garland. We've already talked about that the day it happened. So there's nothing really developing on it. There's more co-signers on it. But we just have to wait and see. And will anything come out of it? Probably not. But all we can do at this point is wait and see.
Well, yeah, traditional, the news outlets, what they do is they just talk about the same shit for hours. There's always like, blah, 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 blah,
Right.
blah, blah. That's what they do. They just say the same news story for hours and hours and hours.
Right. Your guys' government is so corrupt. It is. You're right. I agree. So Western media doesn't talk about anything. They don't talk about anything. And if you try to say any real truth, you get banned. You start questioning that country in the Middle East with a star in the middle of it called the Star of David. Uh-oh, you're out of here. Just local and national violence. Exactly. So
Tap the screen, y'all. Let's get up to 5,000 for my birthday, yo. 5,000.
yeah, we're not. I mean, unless
Tap
you
that
want
screen, yo.
to do this on your own, that's cool. But we're not going to be here for to get to 5,000. Because I was just about to end
I
it.
thought we were starting to blow up. Tap the screen, y'all. It's my birthday. 5,000.
So, but
Yeah, I got to get going too. I got some stuff to do today, so.
yeah, man. Well, happy birthday. Thank you all for tuning in. It's been an enjoyable stream. Had a lot of good people on. It doesn't happen very often. Usually I attract a lot of trolls and very lefties, a lot of lefties. Have a great day, gentlemen. You as well, Liam. All right, guys. Much love. Peace.